All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. We are ending out the third week of trading in March. And, well, looks like we're going to end out green. We got 15 minutes left, and hopefully nothing changes in the next 15 minutes. But it does indeed look like we are going to end out green. We were kind of green in the morning, and then Trump spoke. We'll go over what Trump said for basically an hour of a press conference in terms of different things and different topics he went over. For those saying muted in the chat, you're not going to get me, dude. That happened yesterday. I don't make the same mistake twice. All right. 3 of you tried to get me on this muted thing. We're going to make sure we don't make this mistake 5 times. And you see, you keep trying. Tom, you keep trying. It's not going to happen. Even though you did scare me for a second, but I checked. My mic is good, so we're good. But yeah, we'll talk about what Trump said and ultimately what that means in terms of the equity markets. We have quad witching day, and quad witching day means there's about $5 trillion of stocks that are going to expire, or not stocks, but option contracts and futures contracts that are going to expire for indices and stock options. Basically, in the next 13 minutes, I don't know if the market's pumping just based on that idea that we are getting all that to be eliminated over the next 15 minutes, and maybe that's going to dump, or they're moving off the Trump flexibility stuff, which Trump did say certain things about tariffs that are potentially bullish. But you got Robinhood, 44.30, that's up 1.5%. You got Apple, that's up 1%. Palantir is not at 90, but we touched $90.60 for like a good hour. Basically at 2 o'clock right now, we're at 348. So we hit 90.60. We haven't hit $90 since February 28th. We touched it briefly on March 5th, but basically been a month since we touched $90. So, I mean, that just shows you how green the day has been. Next decade's up about 2%. Nvidia is the only one that hasn't been participating, down about 1.3% in the day. But everything else, Archer's up 5%, MicroStrategy's up 1%, GameStop's up 5%, Lazard, Luminar Technologies up 33% on the day, and Tesla is actually green with Lazard being green. Speaking of Tesla, that one up 5% on the day. If Tim Walz called the bottom on Tesla, it is one of the most important things he's done since being elected the governor of the great state of Minnesota, given the state's pension fund owns 2 million shares of Tesla. I'm sure they're very happy that Mr. Tim Walz actually was able to call the bottom. But for better or for worse, based on what Elon said yesterday and potentially some of the tariff news from Trump, which we'll talk about in a second, it looks like you got the street that's buying up Tesla. Now, in terms of what Trump said today, the real quick TLDR on this is that Trump said we are flexible on tariffs on April 2nd. He actually, which is why it's kind of surprising to me that the market's going green on this, he was quite like hawkish in terms of his stance on tariffs. And he was kind of doubling down on this idea that April 2nd will have very strong reciprocal tariffs by the United States and sort of a pushback. Now, there were some reading between the lines in terms of what he meant by flexibility, and I think that headline got a lot of people excited that, okay, so maybe it's not going to be as aggressive as we think it is. I didn't catch that the first time I was hearing it. I just heard someone who was pretty gung on making sure tariffs would get implemented. But maybe the market saw it a little bit differently, and that is why we are seeing some of the green that we are experiencing right now. Also, it could just be like towards the end of the day, end of the weekend, or end of the trading week before the weekend, you got people buying up these stocks. That usually tends to go the opposite direction, though. People tend to sell. So look at Tesla trying to make its way to 250 last 10 minutes of the day. But that's what we got going on right now. Robinhood, 44.50. By the way, I was looking at some Robinhood spreads today. What's way better, in my opinion, than the $9,500 spread, that's like super out of the money, almost like a lotto spread, like hoping Robinhood doubles. January 2027, 55.70. January 2027, 55.70. That spread, it's going for about 335 right now. Max value is $15 because 70 minus 55 is 15. Divide that by the current price. That's about a 4x. Probably it's worth like 350 now, given it pumped. But that is a more realistic spread. 95-100 is like you're really bullish. Robinhood will get to 100 in 2 years. 70 by 2027, I don't think is even being that bullish. I mean, that's just like the trajectory of their growth expectations should continue to be the way you think it should go over the next 600 days. And that spread is offering a 4x right now. And Robinhood was almost at 70, a couple weeks ago. So I think that one, if you want to be a little bit more safer, 55.70. It has to be $70 by January 2027, giving you a 4x. Not the worst spread in the world. But again, if April 2nd gets aggressive and Robinhood falls back to 40, if Bitcoin gets back to 60K, Robinhood just goes back to, the low 30s. Obviously, buying anything right now could be aggressive. before we have the official tariff day decided. But Palantir right there, back above 90. If tariffs are resolved, delayed, not that serious, yeah, maybe markets are ready to go higher. Palantir right there, $90.14, up 3.17%. Let's hear from Tom Lee. He was just on CNBC. Here's his perspective on if we have officially bottomed or not.
Uncertainty of all of this has been the, iron fist, maybe olive branch, back to the iron fist, maybe an olive branch. What do you make of it?
Well, I think markets should interpret it positively, because I think when we talk to our clients, many are viewing tariffs as punitive, potentially protectionist, and driving several economies into recession. This sounds like that we could actually have a positive case scenario with these tariffs, one that's either mutually agreed upon or if it's reciprocal, but maybe a good deal for businesses. And I think it would set the stage for a much bigger recovery rally than we expect.
Afterwards, right?
Yes,
I mean, the problem is the paralysis, if you will, between now and then. Like, what are we supposed to do over the next 10 days?
That's the dilemma, right? Because we still have 8 trading days till April 2nd. Most investors are getting just nauseous from the volatility, so they want to throw in the towel. But we also know that markets will bottom, or have historically bottomed, before the event actually happens. The best example is the Cuban Missile Crisis, 1962. That was a 12-day crisis. The stock market bottomed 7 days into that crisis, recovered 2/3 of the losses before the resolution. So I think that's a decent template for today.
What about
I did not know about the stock market's volatility during the Cuban Missile Crisis. So that's the new analogy Tom Lee is bringing up. But essentially his point is, hey, markets bottom before people think they bottom, even if the event that's creating the bottoming continues to persist. And that might be what's happening right now.
Economy. I mean, listen to Nike, FedEx, put that on top of what we've already heard. Are you concerned about where the economy is going?
It's been pretty shocking how quickly sentiment deteriorated. I can understand for consumers because the president's very divisive, but for CEOs, that's been a shock. CEO confidence has fallen, and they've kind of been sitting on their hands. So we know there's an impulse of a growth shock underway. But if this is something that doesn't last months, then it's very temporary.
I mean, it depends, to what degree consumers remain skittish. CEOs are paralyzed in their own right because they can't really make any moves because they're not sure what's going to happen. And ultimately, whether a growth scare spirals into something else, which Jeffrey Gundlach gave me his view yesterday right here on Closing Bell. Listen.
I do think the chance of recession is higher than most people believe. I actually think it's higher than 50% coming in the next few quarters.
50, 60%. I mean, if he's right, what does that mean for the stock market?
Well,
too expensive.
When the S&P had a 10% drawdown, that's already priced 40% chance of a recession. I'd say the markets aren't agreeing necessarily with his view because China, Europe, Canada, Mexico have been massively outperforming the U.S. since February 18th. Those economies should be tumbling into recession if we have punitive tariffs. So I think markets are actually more paralyzed than necessarily pessimistic. And
I'm sorry, finish your thought.
But because the market is the economy, I think to the extent that stocks rebound sharply after April 2, if they do, I think it really staves off future economic
Is the
weakness.
market the real economy?
I think it's these days, to me, I think it's a really good snapshot of actual sentiment and actually even CEO decisions. Because as you know, when stocks fall, companies lose confidence. And as stocks recover, CEOs gain confidence.
All right, we'll listen to the rest of what Tom Lee had to say after the bell. But guys, it looks like we're going to go green. Look at Palantir. 91 we just touched. We got 5 minutes left. I do think it looks like a close above 90 is very possible here. Anything could happen in the next 5 minutes. But the S&P just went green. Look at that. The whole day with all this green we've been seeing in different areas, the indices themselves have not been green. There's the S&P 500 just turning green for the day. The NASDAQ is, there you go. The Qs have been a bit more green than the S&P 500 as tech has done well. Tesla up 5%. So interesting. NVIDIA still red, even with all this green. The indices just turned green in the final 5 minutes of the close. Quantum down on the day. Nike recovering a little bit, but still down 5%. FedEx was down 11%. That's a nice little recovery. Now down 6%, so it gained back 7%. SMCI up 7% after a JP Morgan upgrade, and then pretty much else, everything green, even if it's not crazy green. Grab is up 1.5%. Intel's up 1%. Accenture was down 10% yesterday. That's up 1%. Amazon and Google up a conservative 1%. Arc Innovation up 2.79%. Tesla really leading the way, up 4.9% in terms of growth. And then the S&P 500 just slightly turning green as we end everything out. Yeah, I don't really understand the nature of the pump, given there hasn't been any news. In fact, it's been more of a doubling down on tariffs by Trump. But it's either shenanigans around the context of quad witching, and some of these options are just going in a different direction. That's why stocks are going up, or people are buying into the rally. And then that's kind of Tom Lee's point. It's just like, hey, you buy into this rally if we've already bottomed. And maybe also the market might know something about April 2nd that the rest of us don't know. And so that's why we're seeing a little bit of a reversal to the upside. Tesla right here, 248. Looks like that all hands meeting definitely helped in terms of getting people inspired to buy back into the vision. Robinhood as well, 44.27. And then Palantir, 8 cents away from getting that $91 close. Yeah, the all-in pod. No, I agree that Lutnick interview has been going viral, and there have been pockets of that interview that people have been pointing to as a sort of benchmark and framework for how they're thinking of tariffs and how the U.S. is thinking of tariffs. So that could definitely be an argument as well, along with the Besant interview that we had a couple days ago. It also could just be people are tired of selling, dude. People are ready to get back into markets. We saw a decrease on money market funds for the first time in a couple weeks, and although it was only 20 billion, at least it was something compared to the adding of 110 billion in the month of February. So maybe we are getting into a different direction. NVIDIA right here, 117. Archer's up 5%, and then Palantir, $90.89. Here's the question, though. We've had a couple of these rallies over the past couple of days. I mean, I'll put this poll in the chat, but do you trust this one? This is another one, right? This is another kind of one of those things that tugs at your heartstrings. You get excited for it. And then the question becomes, is it worth trusting? Do you trust this rally into the close? We'll see Sunday night if this can continue. Or we'll also see, if people actually take profits into this and decide that any of the dips they bought deserve to be accompanied with profit taking. Palantir right here. We got 40 seconds into the close. $90.95. Carp was in the Middle East. We got some new pictures on that, and we'll show that in a second of meeting with some Middle Eastern leaders. Archer right there up 5%. Robinhood looks like we're going to get a $44 close. Tesla looks like it's going to get at least a 248 close, 249 right now. If it gets 250 in 30 seconds, that would be incredible. But we are going green, and then the S&P 500 going green here as well. Steve should be on in about 15 minutes, and then he'll be discussing his bearish Palantir article, which is so great because Palantir pumped today. So we'll have a lot of fun asking him some questions. All right, here we go. Friday, March 21st, third trading week of March is now complete. The stock market is now closed. All right, there we go. Robinhood closes out the day, 44.38 on the day. Did Palantir close at 91? Did we get it? We got $90.96. We were close. $90.96. Very close, up 4%. First time we saw 90 in basically a month. But we are holding on to the multiple. And Palantir's holding on to $90 right here. NVIDIA, one of the only stocks that really didn't participate in the growth rally of Friday. MicroStrategy at 304, that was green. Archer's up 5%, that was green. GameStop even was green on the day, up 5.36%, 24.77. Lennar was down on the day after they had earnings in the context of the home building space. Tesla ends the day at 248.71, up 5% for the first time in a while on the close. Celsius was up 5.3%, so it rallied with the rest of growth stocks. The Qs ended up 1/3%. The S&P 500 up 0.03%. Apple was up, 2% on the day. Palantir again was up 4%. All of the other Max 7s, I believe Meta was up. Meta was green by about 1.75%, almost back to 600. Microsoft 391, Google 166, Amazon 196. NVIDIA again was slightly flat. And then Tesla right here, 248.71. What about the crypto names? It looks like they were either flat to green. Yeah, the miners were basically down about 1%. CleanSpark was down 4% of the day. CleanSpark got hit. Coinbase was basically flat. Robinhood, one of the only crypto names that was green, along with MicroStrategy that was slightly green as well. Robinhood, the main one, that was up about 1.6%. Bitcoin itself, 83.9, just under that $84,000 level. Wow, we got some green, folks. We got some green. If you bought the dip over the past couple weeks, maybe it'll be all taken away from us next week again. And that, I don't think that could surprise anybody. But at least for today, it feels a little better. It feels a little better if you bought the dip. Tesla now 249.40 after hours, trying to go for that 250. Palantir 91 after hours, and then Hood at 44.37. Who knows, man? Maybe it's taken away, but it just feels good after so many red Fridays and red weeks in general. It was a nice little turn of events towards the end of the day, and it looks like quad witching didn't necessarily take it down all the way back to being red. Amit, any thoughts about Red Cat after Trump mentioned drones when Boeing won the Air Force new jet deals? I don't know if any headlines are really going to affect Red Cat at the moment. They are a relatively small company, right? So it's going to take them time to be able to get massive contracts in the drone space, but they're very promising. I don't own any stock in the company. They're obviously, they were not going to get the Boeing $20 billion contract that Boeing got today for the next generation fighter jet. Boeing right here was up 3% on the day. Lockheed Martin was down because they missed out on getting that contract down about 5.7%. But Red Cat's going for smaller contracts from the DoD. And as long as they can keep executing against that, that should be good for them. Red Cat right here up 3% on the day. Palantir, $90.96. Okay, let's finish up with what Tom Lee was saying, and then we'll get into all the other headlines we had throughout the day and keep going from there.
What about the idea that Gunlock also put forth that in his words, unintended consequences of all of the rhetoric from the president is making people think twice, especially overseas, about investing in the U.S., and the view that Europe is just a better value and offers even less risk than before? How do you play that?
I mean, we hear a lot of folks talking about that, but as you know, Europe tends to be single stock concentrated indices. So if you're buying Europe, you're basically buying industrials and financials. If you're buying Korea, you're buying Samsung. So I think if someone is looking for the best companies, they're still going to end up buying the U.S. One of the things that we have to keep in mind is this trade deal, if it's acceptable, could actually basically sort of blunt this whole issue of trade in the future, and it would actually make the U.S. more attractive again.
I want you to stick around. Those warnings from Nike and FedEx doing little to quell fears, as we're just talking about, of a slowing economy. Fed officials.
We've started seeing GDP estimates come down slightly. We've seen EPS estimates get cut effectively for the last 6 months. How much more downside is there to those two estimates? If there is more downside, then we should be prepared for more volatility, potentially more chop in this market.
So if we were at more than 22 times for the S&P before this whole thing happened, right? The unwind and the correction of some 10%. Now we're a little less than 21, or let's call it 20 and a half. If earnings estimates are coming down and uncertainty is going up, is that multiple still too rich?
I do think so, that if we're continuously cutting earnings estimates, you typically get a double whammy. When you're cutting earnings, you also are derating the multiple because that comes with a risk-off tone and a risk-off flavor in the market. Now, do we need to see estimates come down more than what they have? That is an interesting question because estimates still do have us going to record margins this year, meaning that there's still an implicit idea that we're going to see more productivity, we're going to see good top-line revenue growth. Do tariffs call that into question if companies have trouble, for example, passing on price increases onto their customers?
Let me ask you, how can you make the case, if you in fact are, that the market at this level is fairly priced?
Well, I'd argue there's a tariff discount on markets. In our surveys of clients for 3 months now, they've cited Trump tariffs as the #1 policy risk, then deportations and DOGE. More than Fed error. Once we get a tariff resolution, that discount should come off the market. I think that's multiple expanding. It's no different than saying you're taking away one of the big biggest tail events for markets.
I mean, one of your big.
It's interesting, right? This idea that all this volatility has been caused because of the fear of tariffs. If that fear goes away, aka April 2nd isn't as bad as we think it is, that multiple expands. I don't know necessarily if we just easily get that multiple expansion, but maybe we get the fear that has been extreme fear for the past 3 weeks now to start being less extreme.
Calls to me feels like, and it's almost supersedes any bit of negativity, is the Fed put, which you make the argument continually that it is alive and well, and that we got more evidence of that this week. So you're almost protected, even if there's some level of downside from here in the economy.
Yes, I think there's the Fed put is still alive and well. We got a reminder this past week. And as Steve says, the Fed is marginally more worried about growth, which means that the moving from tight to neutral to easy would be not many titrations. And there is still going to be a Trump put. I think once the tariffs are behind us, there is going to be an interest in Washington to sort of make sure the economy doesn't unravel, which means the Trump put is back in play after April 2nd. And of course, there's a sovereign wealth put coming as well. So I think markets have multi-dimensional downside in addition to all the cash that's been raised and the negative sentiment. So I think this is all multiple expanding.
If you think there's still a degree of a so-called Trump put, why then does it feel like the administration is going out of its way in certain instances to almost telegraph, if not a recession, a bigger slowdown than we're going to have now, making the argument that it's worth it for the policies that we're putting in?
Well,
haven't they done that? I mean, Treasury Secretary on this network talked about needing a detox. And he's not the only one who has made comments of the like. The president himself has not gone out of his way to say we're not going to have a recession.
yeah.
Basically, if Trump's still trying to tank the economy, why should we be so bullish about the stock market in the short term?
Well, I think it's appropriate for the administration to set expectations, and I think it's very inconvenient for markets to be their focus in the middle of the tariff negotiation. It's the hallmark of his policy, but I think once that's behind us, I can't imagine an administration that wants us to have a recession. I mean, a detox is one thing, and it's a shift from public sector to private. But that handoff, as you know, they've even backpedaled. They actually want that to be as smooth as possible.
And you're assuming that they can manage it in that way, just like we assume that the Fed can manage it on its own side. It doesn't really matter what you say or what you think. Can you actually do it when the you-know-what starts to hit the fan? Do you believe that the Trump put, that the Fed put exists?
2018 is a really good reminder that even though we had an eventual Fed put, we were down 20% from peak to trough in that December trading, even though you did see the Fed eventually step in and reverse policy. So just because the put exists doesn't mean the strike price is where it is today. We do think that you would need to see more volatility for them to actually back off on any policies that could be volatility inducing.
What do I want to do then right now in the market? What do I want to do? Do I think this too shall pass and then the broadening story is going to pick right back up again? There's just too much uncertainty for a lot of economically sensitive things to work. What's your advice now?
I think that you have to have a 2 to 3 year forward outlook to be buying weakness today. If you're buying weakness and expecting a V-shaped recovery, we don't think you're going to get it. That's very different than 23 and 24. 23, 24, every time you had weakness, you had a very sharp recovery and made new highs soon after. We think that there's a big potential that, yes, you can buy weakness, the forward returns start to look better, but be prepared that it's going to remain choppy before we eventually get to new highs, which could take some time.
I want you guys to debate this for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I go from 3 to 4 year outlook to what sounds to me from you like 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd say if we look at history, when you look at drawdowns from a 52-week high, and this is the 5th fastest in 75 years, if you take the 6 precedent declines, they were all V-shaped recoveries. So the speed of the decline had a symmetric recovery. I think almost everyone I talk to is so defensively positioned, and so many have lost hope that they're in Cameron's camp that it's a, L-shaped bounce. Every time everyone says it's an L-shaped bounce, it's always been V-shaped. So I'm in the camp it's a V-shaped bounce.
You know who's a pretty good market historian? That lady to your left. What do you think about what he said?
So the counter to that would be that we have been seeing fading momentum for the last year. Look at a weekly MACD. You've seen momentum start to fade. So if we're trying to run through this wall of overhead resistance, which we think we're going to hit around 5,900, you're not doing it at full speed because momentum has been fading for so much time. So we think that we will judge the bounce by the time that we hit that overhead resistance. If we start to roll over, then we think that you could potentially retest the prior lows that we got to on March 13th.
Yeah, and maybe just another data point to add. I think we should just watch Tesla. If Tesla has an L-shaped bounce, then the market's bounce will be L-shaped. But if Tesla bounces from 220 back to some major retracement, then it's a V-shaped bounce.
All right, we'll leave it there.
It's a fair point. It is a fair point. And look, Cameron Dawson, who is the panelist near Tom Lee, being slightly bearish there and just saying, hey, you can't really trust this rally yet. I think that's fair. I think that's very fair. I mean, for the past 3 weeks, we've had tons of reasons. I mean, the 10-year in and of itself is one of the reasons you could be a bit skeptical of that rally. If this 10-year goes higher, this is not what the administration wants at all. They couldn't have been more clear over the past 2 weeks on telling us they want bond yields to come down. And that means there might be a little pain for equity markets. If they somehow get bond yields to come down and stocks can expand their multiples, aka growth doesn't slow down and inflation does slow down, I mean, it would just be one of the most incredible things ever. But for all 4 of those things to happen in the right direction, it might just take some time to see how that plays out. From Tom Lee's perspective, if you want the summary of his thesis, it's that markets historically bottom before the events that have caused them to bottom play out. And so from this tariff volatility until April 2nd or until the end of April, however long it takes for it to play out, his argument is that sentiment has gotten bad enough for markets to have put in their bottom. And that's why you buy this dip. Over the coming weeks, we will see who is correct. Let's get someone on the show today who has a new article out about one of my favorite stocks, one of my favorite companies. I think you guys might care about this company as well. Steve, how are you?
Before we get into that, the question is, should we buy Tom Lee's ETF?
You know, we've never talked about this. This is a good
We've
subject.
never talked about this. Should we buy the Granny Shot ETF?
So I default to what Josh Brown said on the compound a couple weeks ago when Tom Lee was on, which is that now that he has an ETF, he's going to be measured by the success of this ETF publicly, right? And it's always tough when you put yourself out there publicly. I'm showing the top 10 holdings right now on my screen. For those that don't know, GRNY, they have almost $1 billion in assets. I mean, Progressive, Palo Alto, BNY Mellon, S&P Global, Abbott, AMD, Garmin, Netflix, NVIDIA, Caterpillar. Does that sound like an ETF you want to own?
Does that sound like a Tom Lee ETF?
It really doesn't, to be honest. I mean,
The fact that Tesla is not in the top 10 does not sound like a Tom Lee ETF.
or Palantir. I mean, he's a Palantir fan as well. So
I mean, I can see Palantir not being in it, but Tesla?
yeah, and look, maybe that's good because it's not super like archy, like filled with growth. You've got some bounce there.
But is NVIDIA in there? NVIDIA's not in there, is it?
No, NVIDIA's there. NVIDIA's 3%.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Progressive, Palo Alto, BNY Mellon, AMD, Caterpillar. I mean, Netflix. Yeah, I mean, it's not. I don't know. It's not the. I don't know if those are granny shots, to be honest.
Caterpillar is interesting only because of the amount of expansion with industrials and data centers that we are expecting to happen. But BMY Mellon, that's not, no.
Yeah, and again, see, I love Tom Lee, but if this ETF doesn't perform or beat the S&P, people are just going to give him so much shit. So it's tough when you launch a public ETF. Like it really has to outperform.
But at least put Citibank in there, or Citigroup in there, whatever the hell they're calling themselves these days, because it's still trading at a discount to book.
Yeah, and it is equally weighted. So all of those have 3%. So it's not like overweight certain names or sectors.
Interesting.
All right, well, before we get into Palantir, we had a pretty green afternoon, if you didn't see.
I did not see it.
You kind of think people are just tired of selling at this point?
Maybe. I don't know. But I did read something today that was very interesting. I didn't realize BYD was that big of a company.
Why are you yawning? Why are you so sleepy?
Well, maybe I need a little pick-me-up. I don't know. I had a
No,
long day.
I know why you're yawning, actually.
Why am I yawning? Because I stayed up till like 1 a.m. watching basketball?
Because you stayed up till 1 a.m. gambling your life away watching basketball. That's why.
You know, I'm going home to watch basketball, and I'm watching basketball all weekend.
Dude, this is why Robinhood built this feature. It's for people like you. That is why.
March Madness only comes around once a year, and is the best time in sports.
Do you drink Celsius at all?
No,
So how do you get your energy?
that stuff's poison.
You don't drink coffee anymore either. So
Nope.
well, how do you get your energy throughout the day? Like, what do you do?
100% natural.
Interesting.
I'm going to go home and have a glass of milk. How about that?
I have never met someone who drinks milk, a cold glass of milk, and gets their energy. Like, I don't get it.
It's delicious.
It's weird, bro. It's milk. Like,
Bunch of amino acids, protein in there. It's great. But I did not realize how big of a company BYD is.
yeah, no, it's a huge company. In China, they're the biggest EV manufacturer, if I'm not wrong.
How about they're the biggest manufacturer right now,
No, they are.
from what I read? And they have the largest percentage of electric vehicles globally, from what I read, if it's true.
Well, yeah, because China is such a big market, and so
Yeah, it's very interesting, the deals they're making. Then I looked at their financials, and I was like, huh, they generate more gross profit and more EBITDA than Tesla.
have you ever done ayahuasca?
No, I haven't.
Someone mentioned that as a form of energy in the chat. So
That is not a form of energy. That is a form of hallucination.
I understand it as it brings you closer to the real purpose of life. That's what I've heard of.
A lot of people have said that. I have not met any shamans, and I'm not interested in finding out. So,
All right. Well, let's get into the main topic of the day. So I'm linking your article right now.
before we do that, what do you think about the Boeing news and the UAE news?
Well, so Boeing, I think it's great for them. $20 billion fighter jet contract. Bad for Lockheed Martin that Boeing got it, but good for Boeing. The UAE news, this is the 1.7 trillion investments.
Over 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
So you got that happening. I'm telling you, the more I look at Micron, I am really, really interested. I got to do a lot more work this weekend on it, but I think Micron's going to be a big winner the next couple of years. I mean, it's gradually gone up and it's done well, but I think the sell-off is unwarranted. I got to do more work on it, but it's interesting. And if we're this bullish on NVIDIA, I think that we're going to have to be bullish on Micron because they're going to need their HMB memory.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're growing 40%. So it's not like they're not growing at all. And they raised their outlook yesterday. Similar to Carnival Cruise, they got hit today, but they raised their outlook. And so some of these stocks are doing very well, even if their prices aren't reflecting it.
Yeah, people are worried that it's going to be too cyclical, but I don't see it, especially with the Windows 11 ramp in the summer because Windows 10 gets sunsetted. There's a lot of positives for this. So I'm going to look into it. I'll probably write an article about it.
All right. So I'm pulling up your newest Palantir article. I love that you published it today. That it makes me so happy you published this on a day like this. Just because I love messing with you, and we got Palantir.
Not a lot of people read it.
Well, I'm linking it right here, so everyone should read it. And if you don't read it, just click on it because that'll help the article perform. But Palantir, $91 close. You're saying fair value is 33, if I'm not wrong.
That's not what I said. What I said is I would start buying it at 33.
But you don't have a price target of 33.
I mean, that's what I think. That's where I would start getting excited.
Okay, so that's what your fair value is, 33. That's what you're saying. That's my point.
That's what I'm saying without saying it.
The fact that you have to run through these intellectual gymnastics to even say that to me is telling about this price target. But
no, when you read the article, did you read the article or not?
I did not read the article. Well, we're talking about it together. I mean,
yeah, but I don't have it in front of me, so I don't have all the stats memorized and whatnot. So I'm driving, but when you read the article, I think it makes complete sense. I mean, this company is doing things that other companies wish they could do. I mean, like we talked last night, their deal, people are not understanding. I think they did 832 contracts that are valued over $1 million. And they only signed up 400 new clients over that period since Q2 2023. And their net dollar retention is 120%. They are generating a lot of incremental revenue organically without signing up new clients because their software stack is that good. Clients want more features and more stuff. I mean, that's a telltale sign of how you have an incredible product.
Okay, so why 33 as when you get excited to buy?
It's the numbers. Go to the two tables and look at the numbers. I mean, if you're going to pay for people to pay this growth rate on Palantir's future earnings is crazy. You can't just look at percentage. Look at the actual amount of EPS that they're adding. They're only expected to add 40 cents of EPS, and the growth rate is something like 75% or 72%. Yet people are paying 91 times earnings. That's insane. So NVIDIA has a growth rate of 43 or 46%, whatever it is, on their EPS over the same period. And you're able to pay 17 and a half times 2027 earnings for it. So so Palantir's growth rate is almost double what NVIDIA's is. I'm willing to pay double what their growth rate is, not significantly more. And it's just, I don't know. I don't think the fucking price makes sense here. Just from the numbers. I mean, paying 91 times earnings, I think that's what it was, for 2027 earnings, does not make sense. Paying 35 times earnings for double the growth rate, to me, makes sense because you're paying for double the growth. But that would be at 35 times earnings, and that's where I got the 33 price target from.
Now,
because why pay for that when you can buy NVIDIA and add $2.40 of EPS to the bottom line instead of adding 40 cents to the bottom line when you know that you're getting diluted? And the big red flag for me with Palantir is all about interest income. Look at Q4. The majority of their actual income from operating came from interest. Interest income was something like 54 million or 46 million, whatever it was, and operating income was 11 million. They're going to have a problem if the Fed actually decides to do what they should do and lower rates to 3 to 3.5%.
Well, that's assuming their operating income margins won't be the majority of where the net income comes from, right?
Correct, but we haven't seen that is going to happen yet.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you would imagine at this stage of the company they rely less on treasuries for their.
You would hope, right? And that's my big problem. And look, income is income, but the problem is right now we know that the Fed is planning 2 cuts this year. We know they're planning more cuts next year. So if that tranche of income is going to decline, it needs to be offset with more profitability from operations, and they're not showing that they're able to really scale that. There is a big differential between their EBITDA to free cash flow. You should not be generating 1.1 billion in free cash flow and less than 400 million in EBITDA. And the only reason that they are generating 400 and something million in net income is because of whatever advantages they're getting on taxes or whatever other write-downs or whatever they're doing to make up the difference, because their EBITDA is only like 360 million. And when you look at the profitability table that I put in there, you're paying like 530 times for Palantir's EBITDA. Like, that's insanity. It's insanity.
So do you realistically think it comes back to 33, or are you just making that from the numbers?
Yeah, it's strictly from the numbers. I don't think it has a good probability of hitting 33, but I also don't need to buy more.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And I just think, like we said last night with Derek, I really think that people are not looking at this from a business aspect. They are looking at this as a name on a ticker that they can potentially make money on without thinking about that they are buying a equity stake And this is where people really get it messed up because, oh, if I buy 100 shares or 1,000 shares or whatever it is, they're not looking at it as they're an owner in that business because they have no say in anything that happens. But they're still buying an equity stake in the company, and they're paying the current value for all the current profitability and all the future cash flow the company generates.
Yeah, I just think, it's interesting because we've seen the story happen with Tesla where they get a multiple that no one understands. Someone could say they still have a multiple no one understands at 245, but they maintain it because of external factors. And with Palantir, it does feel the same, that although, yes, fair value maybe is closer to 40, 50, whatever it is, there's qualitative reasons, there's retail investors that aren't selling reasons, but there's reasons it's holding these levels right now.
And I don't expect people to sell it. I don't expect long-term investors to get scared from a pullback.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just don't understand why anybody gets excited about buying Palantir at 90, 100, or 110. Like when we talked and it was 120, I said this isn't going to end well for a lot of people that are buying at this level. And it started to come down. Now, granted, there are other factors at play, but I don't think it's going back to all-time highs anytime soon.
But the interesting thing about when you said that is I don't really give you credit for that, to be honest. I'm sorry, but you don't get credit for that.
You don't have to.
No, but no, the reason I'm saying that is because the entire market fell. You weren't
exactly, but that's why I stated it the way that I stated it. There were other factors that happened. But
that's my point. Like Palantir needs to uniquely fall independent of the market for you to be right on this argument.
I agree with
that. Hasn't yet.
I agree with that. And I think that there is a better chance that it sees 55 than 33. I think it's going to be very hard pressed to fall further than the $50 level. And I don't even know if we get in the 50s, even though I think we should. I just don't know it's going to happen. You don't fight momentum. It clearly has established some type of resistance. And to break through that resistance, which is around 75, it's going to be pretty hard. Unless Q1, they don't blow it out of the water.
But that's the quarter. That's the part I'm the most sure about. I think Q1 is going to be amazing. I don't think that's an issue.
I think Q1's probably going to be good too. I'm just saying that unless they don't blow it out of the water, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. You're just paying for a lot of growth that's already baked in. And when you look at what you're paying for in other companies such as Alphabet or NVIDIA, it's really hard to get excited about Palantir here.
Has anyone been buying Palantir? I mean, let me ask that poll in the chat. We haven't done this in a while, but yeah, if you are buying at these levels, I would love to hear from people that are, because from my understanding, most people aren't, but there's obviously some cohort of investors that are, right?
Yeah, and I'd be interested, if people think I'm wrong, if they can comment on the article, and I am planning on answering everybody tonight when I get home. And yeah, I'm always interested in seeing what people think. Like I love responding to comments. So just leave a comment and I will respond. But yeah, I don't know who's buying here. I mean, you look at Alphabet is still growing. Their search revenue is not coming down. Google Cloud is expanding. They're generating a ton of CapEx. They have a big growth rate ahead of them. And they're trading at less than 14 times forward earnings on 2027. It's just, once again, there are so many deals in the market now. And when I look at it, Palantir may have a bigger growth rate, but they're only adding 40 cents to the bottom line on EPS. Whereas companies like Alphabet and NVIDIA, they're adding 2, 3, 4. I mean, Microsoft, I think, is going to add $8 to the bottom line over the next 2 fiscal years from the close of 25 to the close of 27.
Yeah, but Microsoft is boring.
But it makes a lot of money. It's one of the most profitable companies in the world. It makes money. And it has big growth rates.
Yeah, but it's boring.
Bring up the table because I obviously can't see it because I'm driving. What's their forward growth rate and what are they trading at?
See, this is why we need to get you a Tesla so you can do FSD.
When it is legal for me to put FSD on and not pay attention, I will buy one.
So Microsoft's forward PE for 2026 is 25.
Palantir 2027.
21. Palantir is 91 for 2027.
Okay. So it's very hard. And you look at how much free cash flow these companies are generating, you look at the profitability, it's really hard. And then you look at companies like Salesforce and Cisco, while they may be boring, they're in the same neighborhood of a market cap as Palantir. Palantir was a bigger company than them a couple of weeks ago, yet there's no reason for it. I mean, read the numbers of how much free cash flow and EBITDA Salesforce generates versus Palantir.
Salesforce?
Yeah, CRM.
They do EPS of.
No, go to the other table with the full profitability.
Oh, I got it. So Salesforce free cash flow is 12 billion.
And what's Palantir's 1.15 or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then net income is 6 billion. Palantir is 462 million.
Okay. And what's the EBITDA?
11 billion versus 342 million.
Okay. And you're telling me, not you, but people who are buying are thinking that paying a market cap of $300 billion for that level of profitability is a good idea. It's not a good idea. Those two companies should never be anywhere close on the same market cap when you look at profitability. And that's how you judge a company, by profitability. Like, think about how much growth Palantir has to get to put up Salesforce numbers.
Okay, so I was interviewed today by a Barron's reporter. They're doing a big piece on Palantir, and they wanted to get a better understanding of like the retail community. And his angle is the same as yours. He just flat out said he doesn't think the valuation is sustainable, and he thinks historically these types of situations have been met with a lot of pain. And so his question to me was, is Palantir the exception to the rule? So I'll forward that question to you.
It could be. Only time will tell. And I'm not trying to get a cop out to that question, but we've seen crazier things happen. We've seen Tesla trade at valuations that make absolutely no sense several times. We've seen NVIDIA pre-ChatGPT trade at a valuation that did not make sense. I mean,
because think about it like this, because I basically said the same thing to him. I was like, maybe not, right? We'll find out over time. But if you bought Tesla in 2019, like, you haven't been in pain. If you bought it in 2021, in 2022, yeah, it's been like the up and down flat over 5 years, dead money. But if you bought it right before it took off, you're still up like what, 7-8x? If you bought Palantir at under $15, even if it falls 50% from here, it's kind of like, you really are, if you believe in the long-term trajectory of it, chilling. If you bought it at $60-70, obviously you're going to be bag holding. So what if there is a world where even with the volatility over the next decade, having a less than $20 or $20 average, call it that, is going to be like buying Tesla in 2019?
It could be. And I don't, you and I are in the same boat. We have roughly the same price average. I mean, I think mine's around 13 or so, that area.
Now, mine's at 20. Mine's at 22.
Okay, so yours is a little higher than mine. I mean, I'd have to look at it when I go home because it's in multiple accounts. But I think my average is definitely under 15. I think it's close to 13. But
yes, it's one of those things. Like, why would you? I don't think you're interested in selling.
No, I have no interest in selling because I think in 10 years from now it's going to be much bigger than it is today, and I don't need the money right now. So I have no reason to sell and get hit on my taxes. So because what am I going to do? Sell it and then hope it goes down and just buy it back? No, I'm not doing that. But it's the same thing I say about these other companies. Perfect example is Tesla. I don't have to be bullish about what it's going to do in 5 months from now. I'm bullish on what it can do in 10 years from now. But that doesn't mean that the valuation today makes any sense whatsoever.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, if it is a Tesla-like story where maybe Palantir oscillates between 70 and 120 for the next couple of years and is quote unquote flat, but those OG holders that aren't selling, with their $15 average, I mean, you kind of could see it being elevated, even if it doesn't need to, because people just aren't selling.
It could. It is a perfect example to correlate to Tesla, because Tesla is traded at such a crazy multiple compared to the original OEMs.
Yeah.
And Palantir, even you look at Snowflake, MongoDB that I put in those, Datadog, it's trading at the highest valuation out of all of them. And can it sustain this? Yeah, sure, if there's enough buyers. But at some point, people are going to start looking at the profitability. I got to think that common sense is going to prevail at some point. I mean, we saw Tesla get more than chopped in half. I mean, when it was at 400 or whatever, and I came out with that article saying that it's going to drop by 85%, it dropped by like 67% or something like that. Like, we've seen these companies get whacked before. At some point, Palantir is going to get whacked. That little pullback that we experienced, I don't think is where this ends. But that's just me. I'm looking at it from the numbers and from a business aspect, and it's really hard to convince me that Palantir deserves to have the same market cap as Salesforce or Cisco when it's generating a 20th or 30th of the profitability. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Unless this is an explosive year of growth on the bottom line, top line, everything.
Okay, great. So let's just say they grow their net income from 460 million to 1.5 billion. So what?
I mean, look, the expensive is still up there. I mean, the multiple's still
So
up
what?
there. I get it. No, I get it. But maybe that means we don't need to go back to all-time highs, but maybe that means we also don't need to go back to 50.
Think about it this way. If you had all the money in the world, okay, and you're gonna buy Salesforce outright for $300 million or whatever it's at, and you look at the amount of free cash flow it generates a year, and then you say, okay, Palantir, when it was at that same valuation a couple of weeks ago, you're going to buy Palantir. What are you more likely to buy? Because over the next 10 years, which company is going to be more profitable?
Yeah, but
like, there's no scenario where Palantir is going to be more profitable over the next decade than Salesforce.
That's 1,000% correct. But I do think Salesforce at one point grew 24% on average for like 20 years,
Yes.
right? Before they started declining. If people see Palantir as like the new version of that, which means minimum double-digit growth or 20% growth over the next 2 decades. Like,
isn't Salesforce near all-time highs, or didn't it just make all-time highs though?
Yeah, but then you got to
grew into the valuation. It wasn't as expensive as Palantir was at the beginning of the journey.
I agree, but then you got to think: is the TAM? I know you hate TAM analysis, but is the TAM bigger?
The TAM is way bigger for Salesforce. Don't even do that.
I disagree.
Every company can use CRM. Not every company can use Palantir. If Palantir wants that type of TAM, they need to have a full-blown ERP system for finance and HR, not just what they're doing. And they need to take Workday out at the legs, and they need to take SAP and Oracle out at the legs, because nobody is implementing Palantir for their finance and HR solution.
Sure,
Nobody.
But I think they're overarching, just like the defense business itself opens up more of a TAM than what Salesforce is offering in terms of, because CRMs are not going to be what's defending the West. Like, let's maybe Palantir doesn't win all the defense contracts across the world, but Germany just said they're about to spend $1 trillion. I mean, if like there are, I think, other verticals besides customer relationship management tools that Palantir can expand into.
That's going to assume that all of the different tanks, planes, drones are running on Palantir software. That's making a lot of assumptions, which it could, but once again, every business can utilize Salesforce.
Yeah, but I also think every business, there is a world in which they need a digital twin and ontology, et cetera. Yes, every business has vital customer data that can be materialized with Salesforce, but I think 20 years from now, the TAM on Palantir is still bigger than the TAM on Salesforce.
It could be. It could grow into that. I'm talking about today. Today, the TAM is bigger with Salesforce. What Palantir can grow into is a different story. And I think that's why it's getting such a rich valuation, because of what it has the potential to do. But at the same time, a lot of these companies have had very similar potential in what they can do, and what they've accomplished is incredible. You look at Meta. I mean, granted, Meta is a much bigger company, but there's still a big TAM for them. You have almost half of the global population utilizing their products. They haven't even started monetizing WhatsApp. They can drive more revenue per user out of their stuff. and they don't trade at near the multiple that Palantir does.
Let me ask you this question. Let's say there's a cohort of investors that are holding Palantir simply because they love Alex Karp. Like they don't even care about the growth. They just like him. Do you factor that in as a
No.
do you,
Why?
Well,
can't factor that in.
No, but do you ignore that completely in your analysis?
Yes.
But why? But that's like ignoring Elon is running Tesla. And people are holding because of Elon to an extent, right?
People held because of Elon, and the stock still got whacked. That didn't matter.
No, I agree. But the reason the stock
that
didn't
was one
fall,
of the, think about everything Carlos and Vitaly used to say. That was one of the only reasons they were holding for so long. And I remember explicitly, and correct me if I'm wrong and say that I'm misremembering the conversations we had on Finance Junkies, but I do believe that, I think it was Vitaly that said, I apologize in advance if I get this wrong, that if Elon was to leave, he would seriously consider exiting his position.
No, but my point is Vitaly and Carlos bought in 2018, aka
I get that.
No, but so it's similar to 2022 lows of Palantir. So my point is they didn't sell because Elon stayed.
But that's my exact point, because their confidence lied with Elon. But even though they were holding because of Elon, the stock still ended up getting whacked.
No, but but that's my point. The stock would have got whacked more if they sold, but they didn't because they held because of Elon.
I don't know. There's no way to prove that. I have no idea.
No, I think it's, look, if you bought it in 2018 and the stock fell to 100 at the lows in 2023 on Tesla, and Vitaly and Carlos, I don't know, their average would have been like $20 or something at the time. Like if they sold those $20 averages, the stock would have gone into what, 70, 80. But the reason they didn't is because they believe in Elon. So it's just poking at the idea that if some people are holding simply because they love leadership, they love management, and they're not willing to sell, could that be somewhat of a reason to explain the elevated multiple? Because that's essentially the question you're asking in your article.
Not for me. Maybe for other people, but not for me.
So then why do you think the multiple is as extended as it is?
I can't tell you. I don't know. I think you got that big pump because it had momentum, and I think algos drove it up with momentum, and I think hedge funds started buying in. I think it got a lot more volume because of the algos and high frequency trading. It came down pretty quickly. I mean, it fell from 125 to, where did we get to? 78 or 79?
72.
Something like that. Yeah. 72 within 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So.
But look, I don't have an answer to that either. I'm asking, like, I agree with you. The multiple's extended, and in this macro uncertain environment, for it to hold a 75 times price to sales, the only way I can explain it, quite frankly, is that people truly just believe in more.
I think people believe. I think people are thinking about, like you and I, and why we're not selling, or at least me. I'm not going to speak for you, but I'm not selling because of the potential that I think it can have of being the second most important software company in the world, and giving it a little bit of a higher valuation because of that, even if they're not generating as much profitability. But at the same time, I don't think it deserves to be anywhere near the price it's at today.
But see, that goes back to the conundrum of this. I'm not selling, you're not selling, a lot of the chat's not selling because we believe it should. Like, everyone knows it's expensive, but everyone's also not selling because of how much faith they have, and that keeps it more expensive.
No. People are. What was the volume today?
On Palantir,
what was yours today?
115 million.
Obviously, people are selling.
Well,
you need a buyer and a seller for a trade to go through. Palantir, while they're diluting people, they are not diluting people that much. Obviously, people are selling. All it's going to take is for there to be more sellers than buyers. That's all it's going to take.
No, obviously there's people that sell, right? Like but I'm talking about people that have held on to shares for like 4 years that have a $10.
I get that, and they may not be selling, but at the same time, they're going to have to put up some spectacular numbers, I think, to keep this level going. I don't think they can sustain if they don't.
On the Robinhood, yeah, it's kind of mixed. It's like 50-50. You can't see this, but Robinhood says how many of their people are selling and buying, and it's basically 50-50.
Yeah.
So, All right. Well, that is the article out by Steve. Make sure to check. Are you going to be on the weekly tonight? I think you said you are, right?
Yeah, I'll come on.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it'll
I'll
be
come
you.
on tonight. We'll talk about it. I'll have the numbers in front of me.
Yeah, so we'll if you guys want to get even more in depth on these numbers, he'll be on the weekly tonight, 11 p.m. Eastern, and we'll talk about it. In terms of the poll, 78% of the chat, off of about 1,000 votes, said they are not buying Palantir at these levels.
Yeah, it's and that tells me that this really could see a bigger drawdown.
I guess we'll find out. But
We'll
again,
find
you're
out.
not selling either.
No. Oh,
Forget it.
I'll tell you what I am buying,
Okay, what are you buying?
because I messed up on the date today. So I thought my spreads were for next week. They ended up being for this week. So I got out of them. And I bought more NVIDIA and I bought more XYZ.
NVIDIA and Block is what you're buying.
Yep.
You know, it's funny. NVIDIA was one of the only growth stocks that was red today.
Yep. And I think I got it at 116.5 or something like that.
Yeah, this has just been one of the most interesting stories of 2025. To watch
The
this thing
fact
heating up.
that NVIDIA's had 2 incredible quarters and they're a victim of their own success. And they are expected to put up these blowout numbers, and beating revenue by $2 billion isn't exciting. That's the only reason this is going down at this point, because nobody can prove or disprove that CapEx spend is going to slow down next year. We just started 2025, and CapEx spending is going up by 46% by their 4 biggest customers. So we know it's locked in for this year. The only reason it's going down is because they're not beating by enough, which is a ridiculous reason. I mean, you're paying 25 or 26 times this year's earnings for a company that's going to grow their EPS by over 50% this year. So it doesn't make any sense. It is one of the cheapest companies in the market.
Yeah, it's I mean, like, we've heard the same thing every single time, that it is phenomenally well positioned for this next decade, and the market just doesn't want to give it the multiple that they gave it a couple months ago.
They don't even need to give it the multiple they gave it when it was growing, but give it at least a Microsoft or an Apple multiple.
Yeah.
At least give it an Amazon multiple. I mean, Amazon's not even trading at that crazy of a multiple anymore. At least give it a respectable. Like, they're not giving it a respectable multiple. And the one that's really getting crushed, I should have bought Alphabet today, because Alphabet in the mid to low 160s is a crime.
Yeah. Google and Amazon, or Google and NVIDIA, the cheapest of the Max 7s.
Yeah, it's incredible how cheap they've become. It's incredible.
Are you buying any SoFi as of recently?
No,
Why are you so offended when I asked that question?
because I've been pretty clear that I'm not buying SoFi.
But why do you still have your SoFi position then? If you
You know, I've been questioning that also. I almost took it and put it in NVIDIA.
your SoFi average is what, like $10, $9?
Under.
Okay, so you're under 10.
Yeah,
so-
I'm at probably in the mid 8s.
I'm assuming you're writing calls against this every month.
I am not.
Oh, so it's just sitting there, just doing nothing?
I was writing calls, but when it came down, I stopped because I didn't want to get caught the way I did with Palantir, because I think it can go to 17 in a matter of 2 weeks on the littlest thing. I think it's too low for where it should be right now. Around the 16, 17 area, I have no problem writing weekly cover calls or bi-weekly cover calls.
Interesting.
It's just there's not enough premium for me to write out to 15 or 16 from here, so to make it worth it. So I'm just not doing it, because I don't want to. What am I going to do? Write a call at 13, 15, have to roll and roll and roll. I don't want to do it.
No, there's people that are buying the $15 calls. You could sell those, but I think it makes sense. But if you were to sell it, you would just put it into NVIDIA.
Yeah, I'd put it into NVIDIA, Alphabet, the 2 of them.
Okay. That makes sense. If anyone has any questions in the chat for Steve, you can ask them right now. I have a couple questions here, and then we'll end it out for the day. Someone said, "What's your Tesla average?" And I mean, you've answered this already, but when are you planning to buy more Tesla?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look. I think it's around like one. Well, before Ryan cover calls or after Ryan cover calls? Before Ryan cover calls, I think it's around, I don't know, 160 or mid 150s. And after you figure the premiums I've generated, I think I have my average down to like 130 something, or high 120s, something like that.
And you don't plan to buy until you get back to 130?
I mean, I may dabble if it gets to 170 or 160 and buy a little on the way down. Like I would start probably buying around 170. Not a lot, but I'd start buying on the way down.
Okay.
But once again, I don't know how much damage he's really done to the company. I think what he did last night was it was out of desperation. So
yeah, I definitely think it was out of desperation, but you know, at least the market liked it. You know, it's funny. I think Tim Waltz called the bottom. I think Tim Waltz actually called the bottom.
We'll see. I think it can go lower, but that's me.
Okay, question. Is this a good price to buy into NVIDIA or to best to DCA over the next few months?
I have no idea. All I can say is I bought more today. That's all I can say. I have no idea what it's going to do or what it's not going to do. All I know is I've been buying. Okay. Maybe it goes to 90. It's done it before. Who knows?
By the way, guys, I'm linking Matt's comment right here on the screen, or Matt's article. He wrote an article on Google as well. Steve is pretty bullish on them. So you guys can definitely check out Matt's Seeking Alpha article on Alphabet, where he's taking a nibble. Okay, question is from someone else on Nubank. Do you like that at all?
I don't follow it, so I have no idea. Everybody tries to get me to follow it. I'm just not into it.
Okay. SMCI, do you still have a position in it?
No, as of today, I no longer have a position, but I wouldn't mind reestablishing something. And that's something I'll be looking at over the weekend.
Do you consider the risk to Google search as a meaningful problem to their moat?
No.
Why?
All I've heard from people is that search is going to be cannibalized, yet its revenue keeps going up quarter over quarter. So,
okay. Someone said, is there a reason to be bearish on Grindr stock?
I have no idea. But back to search. How do you get, so the big thing was ChatGPT is going to cannibalize it, right? How do you get to ChatGPT? Through Google Chrome.
Okay, that's not the best. Like, just because someone...
No, but seriously, through Google Chrome is how you get to it. So when you get to your original landing page, you see advertising. They sell advertising.
No, you have to click on those ads still, and there's no ads to click on when you type in GPT.
I am just saying that the advertising comes up, even if you don't click on it, somebody's paying for that advertising. So I am not worried about search, but you still need a browser to do all this stuff.
Okay, like I think you have a point on search, but I don't think that's the argument for why search is not going to die. I think it's not going to die because most people just don't use LLMs yet. Like my mom's, you know, even though she actually uses it at work, but like,
and
at
people
home,
are going to use it for. People are going to search for.
They got him, folks. They got him. It's the tariffs, baby. It's always the tariffs. Okay, you're back, I think.
Good day. Yeah, I'm back. I just pulled in the garage. Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Yeah, I get your point. Most people are not using LLMs religiously the way they are like search. I don't know if he hears us.
Are there any other questions?
Oh, you hear us.
Okay,
good. Yeah. Do you still have covered calls on Palantir?
Yes.
Okay. Do you use ChatGPT when you write articles for Seeking Alpha?
No.
Yeah, Steve is ChatGPT when it comes to writing Seeking Alpha articles.
No, I do all my own research.
Target. Are you interested in that as a potential name. We looked at this a couple months ago, right?
Yeah, I think out of that, Costco and Walmart, that's the most interesting. I'd rather get paid 3.5% to 4% to sit in one of those companies than get a half a percent or a percent. I mean, Target makes the most sense for me, but I don't like the industry because I don't think there's a lot of upside potential.
Okay, I think we need to give him a minute before he comes back to life. Long walks on the beach or a movie night.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Are you good, or are you about to get into like an elevator or something?
I'm gonna sign back in 2 minutes when I get upstairs.
Okay, cool. All right, so we'll get him back in 2 minutes. Yeah, we looked at Target a while ago, but because we were thinking of that in January. Like I sat down with Steve on Zoom and we actually looked at it, especially when it got to like the 120s. The dividend wasn't enough to get excited about it, so we ended up not going with it. But yeah, I'd rather buy Walmart, to be honest, even though if the consumer struggles, Walmart might be in a little bit of pain as well. Derek, what is wrong with you, bro? Goodness gracious. Thank you for the $500 super chat. Buy him a new phone. We might end up having to buy him a new phone. Derek, you don't have to, we might have to give away this $500 by Derek. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a giveaway. Maybe we'll give away some of this money. Thank you, Derek. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I think we'll have to give away a little bit of this 500, bro. Yeah, last night on Spaces too, his phone was being weird. For anyone that was there on the giveaway yesterday, it was fun. We asked 2 questions about the stream, and if you were there, we gave away like $50, 2 $25 Amazon gift cards. I think we're gonna do more of those. It's just like a question about the stream, and whoever is on the stream every day probably has a good chance of knowing the answer to those questions, not like stock questions, and then you can end up trying to get those right. What is this question? XR. We'll ask Steve about XRP as well. Yeah, last night on Spaces, Derek was on Spaces with us. It was a great conversation, and we dove really deep into the valuation, not only on Palantir and on Tesla. And again, Derek was on the show this morning. He basically said the same thing, which is that he likes Tesla here because he loves Elon, but he also thinks it probably deserves to go a bit lower. I think I'm seeing Steve next week in New York for dinner. So Derek, we'll use this 500 to get some good dinner with him. I'm trying to convince him to go to another steakhouse and get medium well, but he's not listening to me. I don't know if I'll ever be able to convince him, but hopefully one day we can. Steve's not going to like hymns. I'll ask him when he jumps back on, but I don't think he's going to like him. Yeah, Derek is a big Steve fan as well. Put Steve in FSD. Dude, I will literally give this 500 to Steve just to get him to agree to be in an FSD ride. And I'll ask him when he comes back on if he's willing to literally just use FSD, because he's not willing to take an FSD drive. Maybe we have to legit pay him just to do it. What do you think about Tempest AI? I don't like this name. I haven't done that much research on it, but I really think it only pumped because Nancy bought it. Again, healthcare AI company that supposedly has a moat independent of the AI space because of the healthcare aspect to what they offer. I don't know. Nancy got this at $20 though, so she's been up aggressively on this as well. Take him to Olive Garden. Dude, I still will defend Olive Garden any day. Any day. Yes, it's not the best Italian food, but it's not horrible food. People think it's disgusting. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's decent food. It's like, it's not something where you necessarily get scared about just because it's fake Italian. Did you talk about Tesla? We'll ask him more when he gets on. We talked about it very briefly. He felt just like everyone else felt today that the event was out of desperation. But whether it was desperation or not, it helped the freaking stock. 248 right here. Derek ended up buying a ton of stock at 220 like 2 weeks ago. So kind of right before Waltz established the bottom. Derek got in and he bought a lot more. I think there's a world where 215, 220 is the bottom simply because of sentiment being as bad as it is. Fundamentally, yeah, it comes down to Q1. Really comes down to Q1. It's worse than Cheesecake Factory, 100%. It's worse than Cheesecake Factory. That's facts. That's facts. Cheesecake Factory is legit. But I don't think it's horrible. Does Steve like Hood? He doesn't like Robinhood. Because, see, again, Steve is ideological on certain things. I've been talking about Robinhood for years at this point, and he never got into it. He likes Block more than Robinhood. I really don't see XYZ outperforming Hood in the next year. Maybe I'm wrong. But he's never got into Robinhood. He always thought it was a kid's brokerage app. He had the same critique as a lot of people. And so he respects it, but he's not buying into the stock at these levels. NVIDIA right here up a little bit after hours. Palantir, $90.96 on the day. And then you got Google and SoFi as well. Up a little bit after hours. When you get that new condo in NY, will you have room for Steve? So first of all, it's not going to be New York. The goal is Jersey City. But honestly, dude, Steve and I are thinking of legit starting a real in-person podcast if we can get the studio space necessary to do it. So yeah, I think it would actually be really cool together to do a pod with him in person because Steve's in New York, so he's close by. But got to get this damn apartment, and apartment hunting is not fun. It's really not fun at all. Like, I hate it, bro. I told you guys this yesterday. I hate apartment hunting. I hate it so much. The most pleasurable part of apartment hunting has been talking to an AI when I had to cancel my tour the other day, and I did it in like 2 minutes. Other than that, I hate everything about it. Like, because every time you view an apartment, like part of it is not like up to your standards, or like you're not going to get everything you want. And I'm not trying to be that picky, but like if you're spending a good chunk of cash, you want to get the right spot. And I'm just not finding it yet. It's one of those things where like I'll know when I step in and I'm like, oh, yes, I feel it. And I haven't had that feeling yet. And until I get that feeling, I don't know if I want to get there. Martin says, be picky. Well, that's also Steve's advice, because when you're living somewhere and you're spending like real money on it, you want to enjoy it. You don't want to compromise. So yeah, I think being picky is not horrible. Yo, Derek keeps saying to move to Palo Alto. And I don't think that idea, like I think I'm a New York kid. I need the finance part of Wall Street close to me, even if I'm not literally in New York. Palo Alto, dude, everything closes down at 9 p.m. in Palo Alto. You can't be out at 2 a.m. San Francisco, Palo Alto, it's like just all the tech people, they do their coding during the day, then they go to sleep. New York is different. It's a different vibe, different energy. Also, I hate the time difference, dude. I hate it so much. I can't stand the 3-hour difference. Steve, you're back.
How's it going?
Going good. Do you think I should move to Palo Alto?
I mean, you're out there enough.
I think New York. I think New York is like home to me in the context of finance. I think Palo Alto is just way too focused on tech. And I'm not like building tech. I'm, covering the markets.
You're out there enough. I mean, I don't know. It's up to you. Wherever you want to live.
How are we got to do our podcast together. I got to be in New York. So
we'll figure something out.
We'll figure something out. Oh yeah, Saquon Barkley today invested in Anduril. I don't know if you saw this news.
No.
I think that's pretty cool. You got football players getting into tech.
So what are we investing in?
We're investing in Palantir, bro.
No, we're invested in Palantir. What are we investing in?
We will keep investing in Palantir.
You just said you're not buying shares.
I know. I'm waiting for you to buy so I can start buying.
You're gonna be waiting a long time.
You're telling me if we go to 65, you're not going to take a little bite?
Absolutely not. I'm about to take a bite out of this yogurt. Is what I'm about to do.
First of all, you don't bite yogurt. So I got you there, buddy. You don't bite yogurt. Okay. So
You can absolutely bite
you
yogurt.
cannot bite how do you bite yogurt?
You can still make the motion of biting. Would you rather me get an apple and bite into an apple since I'm bullish on Apple?
You're bullish on Apple just for the sake of being bullish on Apple. You're not.
No,
really.
I'm bullish on Apple because I'm bullish on Apple.
Derek's in the chat. Oh, Derek sent a $500 super chat. Would you get in an FSD ride with me for $500?
I mean, you can come pick me up, and I will go take an FSD ride with you if you want.
I want you to sit in the driver's seat, though.
That is not going to change my mind on FSD, because until you can sleep in the back seat, to me, it's not real.
I get your point, but it is still real that you don't have to drive, even if you have to pay attention to the road. It might just not be the fantasy, the utopia that Elon's painting yet. But it's not like it's fake.
Let me ask you something. Under your insurance, if you put it on FSD and you get into an accident, but your hands were not on the wheel, is your insurance company still going to cover you?
Well, I think that's because it's supervised FSD. It's my fault, no matter what.
Gotcha.
That's why, bro. That's the problem. It's like you look 2 seconds away and the thing starts saying like, "Hey, pay attention." So they're really serious, especially with the latest updates, to not let you check your phone. Because I try it every day, dude. I try to check my phone, and every time she gets mad at me.
Why does it have to be a she?
Well, it's definitely a she, bro. The amount of times she's yelled at me about fucking getting off my phone, like it's obviously a she. But yeah, it is pretty annoying. But it drives itself. It drives itself, you know?
Okay.
Even with the sunglasses. So I haven't tried the sunglasses trick yet, but I'm getting ready to do it because I'm getting annoyed at this point. So,
so you're going to use sunglasses so it can't see where your eyes are looking.
Yes, I hope that works. I don't know if it will, but
okay.
I would like it to.
Listen, you're a good role model.
I appreciate that. Hopefully no one copies me and then gets into a crash. Okay, so let's see some other questions that you guys have for Steve right here. Okay, this question right up here. Let me see this. Oh, would you be interested in Toast if you like XYZ? Do you know this one? It's another fintech.
I don't know much about them.
Okay, they're another payment processing company. Someone asked about Hood, but I told them you don't like Hood. So I'm assuming that's the same.
Oh my God. Thank you. Whew. Alabama won. Thank you. Somebody was trying to tell me today in the office Alabama was losing. I was like, what are you talking about? Alabama's losing. They won by 9. They didn't cover the spread, but they won by 9.
Did you tell everybody how much you were up yesterday on your bets?
81%.
It's pretty incredible. In a day? Like, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
We'll see what happens today. Today's not looking as great.
Matt says, are you still not drinking coffee?
I have not broken, and I have not had coffee in, I don't know, 6 months? Something like that.
Christian says, what happened to PayPal? Are you still bullish on that?
I am not a shareholder. My shares got called away. I'm still bullish on PayPal. And I think I'm going to send a tweet to Alex Chris and tell him to modify his capital allocation program and spend $2 billion on dividends and $3 billion on buybacks instead of $5 billion on buybacks.
Yeah, I think if they give a dividend, people would be excited.
Oh, it'd be incredible.
Because obviously the buybacks are not necessarily working. Nike, Are you looking at that
Ooh.
after?
I want to talk to you about Nike. Bill Ackman's not looking so good at the moment, is it?
No, he's looking pretty bad, to be honest.
Not looking so good.
I mean, the worst thing is he sold Google. It's not like Google hasn't fallen either, but still.
It's so difficult for me to get. And look, Nike's an interesting valuation. It's a hard company to invest in.
Yeah, I would buy Google over Nike any day of the week. Any day of the week.
Where's PayPal today? So PayPal's at 70.19. So if they did $2 billion in a dividend, they have 993 million shares. They would start out with a 2.87% yield. If they split the dividends and buybacks down the middle, 2.5 and 2.5, they'd have a 3.6% yield off the bat. You're telling me that would not get the whole dividend community excited and then grow the dividend every year? This would be such an incredible story. This would make PayPal go to 100.
I can't agree with you more, dude. Like, it is so obvious to just issue a dividend and not do the buybacks. And like,
I'm going to do a Twitter rant tonight. I'm going to come up with a pretty good tweet. I'm going to do a Twitter rant on this.
And Alex Chris checks Twitter.
All right. I'm going to do it. So this is crazy. Because I'm in front of my computer right now. This is a wild number. You ready for how much he's done in buybacks since 2015? Now, granted, 2015 was not a big year, but so since post 2015. So the past 9 years. Take a guess how much he's done in buybacks.
9 billion?
30.9.
Wow. The stock hasn't moved.
They have bought back $30.9 billion worth of shares.
Holy shit.
Their share count has gone. Where has their share count gone from?
Bro, how do they buy back 30 billion and past 7 years it's dead money? 2015 you said, right? So 2015 the stock was
since the end of 2015. So 2016 forward. They've done 30.9 billion in buybacks.
The stock was 40 at 2016. It's at 70. It's up. It's not crazy up, but it's up. That's a lot of buybacks.
They've repurchased 19.1% of the company in that time.
Derek says it's a value trap. He lost millions in leaps last year.
It has been a value trap. Absolutely. But that doesn't change the fact that this is a company that has grown its revenue every year, year over year. This company is still growing, and its cash from operations, it came in at the highest it's ever been this year. Yeah. I mean, their free cash flow this year was $6.8 billion. It's trading at like 11 times free cash flow.
It's weird, bro, why the market's not giving them any level of recognition, and maybe it's because they think fintech's too competitive.
Maybe, but the numbers suggest otherwise. They have 10.8 billion in cash. They have 9.8 billion in debt. So they could write a check tomorrow and get rid of all their debt. And they're not doing that because their interest expenses are only 382 million, but they generated 662 million in interest on their cash position. So they're at a net interest expense of actually $280 million. So they're making money on having debt. So it doesn't even matter. The debt doesn't matter. Like, this is a company that should be significantly higher than it is.
Do you know StubHub?
Yeah, I'm familiar with them.
They're filing to go public.
Who cares?
But have you ever bought tickets off StubHub?
No.
They're trying. They did $2 billion in revenue last year.
I don't think it's a great industry.
The ticket selling industry?
No.
Why?
I just don't. It's not something that excites me.
But like live events is like a thing.
Right, but where's the growth? How many more live events can you do?
Well, I mean, hold on. They did 1.37 in 2023, so that's a growth rate of they grew 30% in 2024.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, I don't know much about the industry either, but I never thought StubHub would go public. I mean, we are starting to see more of the weirder names tap into the public markets now, right? 40 million tickets they sold.
Yeah, it's a lot of tickets.
It's a lot of tickets. 8.7 billion was the GMV on that. Vin says PayPal is the safest way to buy anything online. Yeah, PayPal still. I mean, I still buy stuff online with PayPal. That is correct. That button, it makes you feel safer.
Remember, a lot of companies depend on PayPal, and a lot of people would rather use PayPal than put their credit card in.
Yeah.
And most people don't go get a secondary credit card to use for only online purchases. So I think PayPal is always going to have a place. You know what? Apple should buy PayPal, and that's not the first time I've said that.
Whoa, how much is PayPal's market cap? 60?
Something like that. They could freaking write a check in cash and recoup it for not doing buybacks for 2.5 quarters.
I don't hate that, bro. PayPal integrated into, but granted, Apple has Apple Pay, right? So does it?
Yeah, PayPal takes over Apple Pay, and PayPal basically their free cash flow just gets dumped into Apple, and Apple's basically buying a profit center by buying PayPal at this valuation.
I mean, I don't hate that.
They make the money back in 12 years off of PayPal's free cash flow.
Derek says the SEC would sue them. They wouldn't let that happen. I don't know.
With Visa, Amex, and MasterCard as standalone, it has a chance. The SEC may try to stall it. They may even win. I don't know, but it depends. I don't know. Tim Cook seems to have some juice with Mr. Trump, so who knows? I'm not sure. I mean, I could see where there would be a problem with it. I don't know.
Schlumberger, are you still buying that name or no?
I'm not, but I should be. I think it's a great position to buy.
But you're not thinking of selling that for Nvidia at these levels?
I think it's going to pop at some point this year.
I think it's already up this year a little bit as well.
Not much, 7%.
Yeah.
It's beating the market, but it's also on a huge downtrend. I mean, down 25% over the past year. But what's interesting is, over the past 10 years, it's horrible. You can't look at 5 years anymore because right now you're at the depths of COVID, so everything's thrown out of whack. But, over the past 10 years, it's not been good.
Do you have any updated thoughts on HIMS at all or no?
No, I don't care about HIMS.
Not even.
I hope it goes to the moon so people make money, but I don't. It's not something for me.
Why doesn't Apple buy Bitcoin?
I don't know.
Like, would you be opposed to them even putting a little bit on the balance sheet?
No, go buy 10 billion of Bitcoin. Who cares?
You actually wouldn't be upset if they did that.
They make so much money. If they say, hey, as a hedge, we're going to go buy $10 billion worth of Bitcoin, and if it does anything, great. And if it doesn't, who cares? Because we're Apple, and we make $100 billion of free cash flow a year. We can afford it. No, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't think they need to do 10 billion, but even a billion, I think.
I would much rather see Apple start acquiring companies.
Yeah.
Look, Warner Brothers Discovery, somebody needs to acquire them. Whether it is Netflix, Amazon, or Apple, somebody needs to acquire them, take them off legacy TV, screw over Comcast and other cable providers, and make it solely on their platform. Think about the assets you get from Warner Brothers. You get HBO, you get DC Comics, you get Discovery, you get Food Network, you get TBS, you get CNN, you get a lot of assets. You get Warner Brothers movie studio, and you're paying not a big number. It's a $26 billion company, and they're generating $7.7 billion in EBITDA.
I don't disagree with you. I just don't think anyone wants to deal with that debt that they have. That's the issue.
Right, the debt's been going down though. I mean, they went from 48.6 billion to 36.8 billion in the past 3 years. Past 2 years. They're paying it down. And I agree. And that's the only bear case on this.
Do you have any thoughts on Venture Global?
I got to do more research on it, but the research I have done, it has the second largest exporting capacity behind Cheniere. And I think it's going to be a winner in the space. And I think the current price is very interesting. But you're also talking to somebody who loves that business. And I think that that business is going to thrive over the next several years.
Rivian, is that interesting at all to you?
No. How they're still in business, it makes no sense.
I mean, they posted a gross profit, even if it's not a net profit last quarter, which is good.
I don't follow it. It's just not interesting to me.
Are you interested in Reddit at all?
No.
That one got smacked from 230 down to 115 is what we have on Reddit right here. A pretty aggressive one too. And what was the highs on Reddit? Reddit was at the very top. Year to date, this was at 230. Back down to 105. Again, I think there's a data AI advantage they have, but it's not that attractive at.
You know what I am interested in?
What?
Little company that ends with stop.
You are thinking of becoming an ape again?
No. A little company called GameStop.
Yeah, I know. It's ape. GameStop.
Oh, ape. That's right. Yeah. Well, I thought that was AMC, right?
Well, I think you can use the term for both, I feel.
Can you? Okay.
Are you buying GameStop?
No, I'm just saying that you need to stop thinking about what you're thinking about.
Okay, so let me give the backstory on it. Because everyone's probably like, what are you talking about? Last night, I told Steve, I was looking at the options chain on GameStop. And I talked about it in the morning as well, but like
tell them what time you called me.
It was 11:30. I called you and I was just like, dude, like, why are there people buying $100 calls on GameStop for June? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, how do I find a way to sell calls to these fucking junkies, dude? Like, how do people are buying a 4x increase in 2 months. And I'm like, this is like taking money from a toddler, right? This is like the easiest thing ever. It's like, but how do I sell calls to them without losing money? And the only other way is if you buy deep in the money calls for a couple years out. But even then, the poor man's covered call here, if GameStop shits the bed, then you're going to lose money on this. So, but yeah, that was the idea. So basically, it's like you could buy a $15 call for 2027, hoping GameStop doesn't go below 15 in 2 years. And then you could sell calls for $100 against that call. And people are willing to pay you premium for that. And I was just like, this is insane, bro. I randomly looked at the option chain. I was like, why is it so populated with hundreds of thousands of contracts for these ridiculous levels? But there's still gamblers left.
Yeah, I started looking at the financials, and I don't know, the balance sheet is actually great.
That's what I'm saying. If you buy a deep in the money call on GameStop 2 years out, like, it sounds stupid, but the company shouldn't go out of business in 2 years, given the financials.
Right. But at the same time, you need to do a lot of work and make sure you're generating enough money every week to at least get your initial investment back. Like, GameStop could be at $10 at that time. So I
I
don't
mean,
know.
see, I'm looking at it right now. You can buy a $15 call on GameStop in the money for $12 right now. So let's just do some quick math. Let's say you buy 25 of those. So that would be a $30,000 investment, right? So let's say I spend $30,000 to buy $15 GameStop calls. That means GameStop has to be by 2027, 15 plus 12, $27 for me to break even. Okay. And then I can sell 25 calls against those calls. Let's go to April 25th, 35 days out. I can sell them at what? $35, delta of 16, and I can print 25 times 54. I'm getting 54 cents, $13.50. That means I'm getting 4.5% just off selling these call options against GameStop. If we want to get a little bit even more conservative and we sell it about 30, you're printing about $2,300. And there's thousands of these open. Like the $30 call for April 25th has 1,800 of these open. But you're right, Steve. Like you have to do this successfully many times to be able to get your initial back. That's the issue.
You have to do it too many times correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's too many variables with this to think like the price is not going to stay stagnant for enough time. It's going to have some volatility, which is going to mess up the option premium. So it's too much work. Just buying video right very close to the money calls.
Yeah, that's the conclusion. It's like, even though this is exciting, when you look, given the Mag 7 is as cheap as it is, and NVIDIA premiums are juiced up still, just do it on NVIDIA instead.
I mean, you could even buy NVIDIA, wait a month or two, hope it goes back to 130 or 135, and then start doing it, and the premium is going to be so much bigger.
See, but this is the beauty of option selling, and we're gonna have options 201 tomorrow for everyone at 1 p.m. Eastern. But like once you learn about what it means to sell an option in the market, you get more excited to figure out how can you become the house versus the gambler, right? And when I was looking at the premiums last night, that's why I had to call Steve. I was like, who the hell is buying $100 call for June on GameStop? Unless these guys know something that I don't know about GameStop and that it's going to 4x, because that would be the best performing stock in the market. But there's thousands of these calls open. I'm like, how do I take this money from these people? But in order to take money from them, I got to give up some money. And that's the hard part about this strategy. So yeah, probably.
I don't know why this keeps going on auto mute. I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's not worth putting up the money for this strategy. It's too much work.
Yeah. All right, cool. I think we are done for today. It's a fun week, right? It was a
sure. What was fun about it?
Well, stocks went up, kinda, except NVIDIA, but everything else kind of went up. So I guess I'll end it with this question. What movie should I watch this week?
I mean, there's you just need to start somewhere, because whatever I tell you to watch, you don't watch. So I don't know.
Well, what's like can you give me a good movie? Because you never recommend anything that's like.
Don't say it, because everything I recommend you is fire. So don't say that.
No, but like, what's a really good movie that deserves to be watched?
I mean, do you want me just to start rattling off names?
Yeah.
In no particular order?
Yeah.
Okay. Go watch The Color of Money.
The Color of Money? What? That's The Color of Money.
That's something Derek would probably love. He's definitely seen it.
Who's Paul Newman?
Oh, you did not just ask who Paul Newman is. Oh my God.
I know Tom Cruise. I know Tom Cruise. Wow. There's no way Paul Newman is like some crazy big actor, bro. There's no fucking way. I've never heard of this guy before. Eddie Felson.
Fast Eddie.
Do you guys know Tom Newman? You guys?
Paul Newman.
Oh, sorry. It's Paul Newman. Wait, what is The Color of Money about? What is this?
Just Go watch the trailer on YouTube. It's an 80s movie, but it's incredible.
Oh, Martin Scorsese.
Oh, really? Have you watched The Departed?
Yeah, that one. Come on, bro. Don't
Thank
don't
you for actually seeing The Departed. Thank you.
Departed is a great movie. Great movie. I love it.
Okay. You watch The Town?
No.
Okay. Goodfellas, we know you didn't watch. We know you didn't watch any of the Godfathers. Did you watch Casino yet? Yes, you didn't like it because you watched 10 minutes of it. It was too slow.
Okay, it was 15 minutes. First.
Did you watch American Gangster?
No. Who's in that? American Gangster.
Did you watch Training Day?
Oh, Denzel Washington is in it. Yeah, I watched Training Day.
Okay.
Training Day is a great movie. I've seen that one. Have you seen Flight? Have you seen Flight with Denzel Washington?
No.
Wait, you the one where he's the alcoholic movie?
No, I have not.
I've watched it a couple times, and I don't know why. Like, I've watched it front to back without like going on TikTok during the movie. It's a guy who gets drunk and he operates a plane, and then the plane crash and all this stuff. But it's I like that movie for some reason. But I don't drink, so I don't relate to it at all.
I mean, you had to have seen The Matrix, right?
Yeah, I saw it. It was whatever,
Okay.
dude. It wasn't.
Gladiator?
No, I haven't seen that.
Braveheart?
No, I haven't seen that. Have you seen American Psycho?
Of course.
I still haven't seen this one, but I want to because Christian Bale.
You should. What about Braveheart?
No, I haven't seen that.
Usual Suspects?
Nope.
You never seen The Usual Suspects, really?
That's a show or a movie?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh, 1995. Okay.
What about Patriot Games or Clear and Present Danger?
Dude, how do you know all these? What are you talking? 1994 Clear? No, I haven't. It's Harrison Ford, right? Okay, no.
How about did you tell me you've seen The Big Lebowski?
How do you spell Lebowski?
You've never seen The Big Lebowski. Oh my god.
1998. What is this about? Who is Jeff Bridges?
You did not just ask that.
I think I know John Goodman. I don't know who
How about
Steve,
how about Blade?
Steve Buscemi. Who's that guy?
Steve Buscemi. Jeez.
Buscemi.
What about Blade? You see Blade?
I've heard of Blade. I haven't watched it.
How about Pulp Fiction?
Pulp Fiction is trash, bro. It's not a good movie.
Goonies?
Like, Pulp Fiction's not a good movie. You know that.
No, you're right. It's not a good movie. It's a great movie. What about The Goonies?
That's the kids, right?
That's the kids. Have you seen it though?
No, I've not seen it.
What about Reservoir Dogs?
No, I haven't seen that. Nah. Wait, do you like Fight Club?
I think Fight Club's a good movie. It's not great, but it's good.
See, so they hate me for my take that Fight Club's not a great movie or a good. I don't think it's even.
It's a good movie. It's not great, but it's a good movie.
People overhype that one a lot.
What about Snatch?
Snatch?
What? Really?
Dude, I swear I've never heard of Snatch.
Oh my god.
2000. Brad Pitt, I know him. I don't know Vinnie Jones or Jason Statham. I don't know Alan Ford. I don't know what that is.
Oh my god.
I know Brad Pitt though. By the way, thank you to Psych Pilot for the 5 gifted. Appreciate you, brother. 5 you guys.
How about 300? Have you seen 300?
No. You mean the share price of Tesla last month?
No. Don't do that. Do not do that. Road to Perdition?
What?
Road to Perdition. Did you watch 13
What is
Hours?
perdition? What is that? What are these words, bro?
Did you watch 13 Hours?
No. Oh, another one with Paul Newman. Road to Perdition is Paul Newman.
You watch Molly's Game yet?
No, I haven't watched Molly's Game yet.
What is wrong with you?
Have you seen Mean Girls?
No.
See? It's a classic. 2006 classic.
You do not have any right to be saying anything is a classic because you've seen like 2 movies.
Dude, I told you.
What about any of the Jason Bourne movies? Have you seen any of them? Bourne Identity? Any of them?
Wait. This is Matt Damon's in these, right?
Yes.
So did you know Did you know that James Cameron offered Matt Damon 10% of Avatar, but he
And he
said
turned
no
it down. I did know that.
because he was busy doing Bourne Identity?
Yeah. What about Casino Royale? Did you at least see that? The best James Bond movie that's ever been made?
I have not seen that. No.
Wow.
Wait, have you seen Avatar?
I have.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it's all right.
I think Avatar is like a really good movie.
I think it's overrated.
The second one I didn't like as much. The
What
first,
about Batman Begins? Did you at least watch
yes,
that?
of course. I've seen Batman. Yes, I've seen.
Okay.
I've seen.
How about
Batman-
Superbad? Do you watch Superbad?
Dude, I saw this I know it's a funny movie. I've seen it a long time ago, but I don't remember much from it. 2007.
What about Traffic?
No, haven't seen that.
What about Bloodsport?
Nope. Have you seen Dawson's Creek?
No.
Okay, then. So we both haven't done our cultural due diligence.
Oh no. I know what Dawson's Creek is. I just didn't watch it.
Well, you should. Because it's a hell of a show.
I don't think so. How about Raging Bull?
Dude, do you just watch movies all day? Like, how have you accumulated this much knowledge?
I mean, okay. Tell me you've seen Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket?
You did not see it, did you?
Fucking, who names a movie Full Metal Jacket?
Oh my God.
Who is Matthew Modine?
Oh my God. What about The Untouchables?
I've heard of that, but I haven't watched it.
How about The Terminator? You at least see that?
Oh, I haven't seen that. I know what that movie is, but I haven't seen it.
Die Hard?
No, dude. All right, now you're just embarrassing me. I haven't seen these movies. I don't like every time you ask, I'm just gonna say no because I haven't.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Come on.
I have no idea what you're saying right now.
Dazed and Confused?
Have you seen 500 Days of Summer?
No.
It's a good rom-com. It's a good one. It's a good one.
I want to know what your chat is saying right now. Like, this is just like
they're killing me here. They're saying I'm fucking uncultured. Someone said take out your tampon for watching Dawson's Creek. That's a little mean.
I don't understand this. Like, this is killing me. And I didn't even start going down to sports movies. Like, did you see Friday Night Lights or The Program or Any Given Sunday? Anything?
Any Given Sunday?
Oh my God. You did not see Any Given Sunday?
1999. Al Pacino. That was a joke. I know it's Al Pacino. That was a joke.
Caddyshack?
Caddyshack.
Wow.
By the way, did you love what's the movie that Al Pacino's in where he's in Miami selling the drugs?
Scarface?
Yeah. Did you like that movie?
This is going to be a hot take. It is a good movie, but it's one of the most overrated movies because of how good everybody thinks it is.
Agreed.
Not something I really want you to agree with me on, but it is. A lot of people hype that movie up, and the thing that pisses me off is people classify it as a mafia movie. It's not a mafia movie. That always annoys me. But
it was pretty boring. I didn't like the ending either. I don't know why people hyped it up as much as they did. I saw it in the Christmas 2023 it was on Netflix, and I still haven't seen Heat yet.
Yeah, well, that's horrible, and I didn't want to bring it up because that's a sore spot because that's a top 5 movie of all time. Like,
wait, Heat is a top 5 movie of all time.
Heat is the top 5 movie of all time.
Heat is a top. Do you guys agree with that?
Top 5 movie of all time. Heat is a top 5 movie of all time. The scene with Bobby De Niro and Al Pacino in the coffee shop is one of the best scenes ever in cinematic history.
Heat is a top 5 movie of all time.
Yep.
What is okay off the top of your head? No one's gonna hold you to this, but
how about Miller's Crossing? You ever see that?
No, I haven't seen that. What would you say is your favorite movie of all time?
So
I know there's a lot of choices, but
I mean, okay, hold on. Donnie Brasco, you ever see that?
What the hell is Donnie Brasco, dude? What are you saying?
Oh my God.
1997. Who's in this? Another
who's
Al
in
Pacino.
that. It's like a Johnny Depp. There's a lot of people in that. What about The Professional?
Steve, when did you get the time to watch all these movies? I'm just curious. Like when?
American History X. How about that?
No, I haven't seen American History X. What is this shit, bro?
Carlito's Way.
Dude, where do you get all these movies from? This is insane. Like,
What about True Romance?
no, I haven't seen True Romance.
Oh my God.
I've seen it on Dawson's Creek. There's True Romance between Dawson and Joey.
Look at the lineup on True Romance. Just type it in. Look at the lineup on that.
1993, Christian Slater. I don't know who that is. Patricia.
Well,
Arquette.
you don't know who Christian Slater is?
I don't know who Gary Oldman, Dennis Hopper, Christopher
my-
Walken. I know who Brad Pitt is.
Oh my God.
Oh, Michael Rappaport. I know him. I don't know who Patricia Arquette is. I don't know who that is. True Romance. Wait, is this a Quentin Tarantino film?
Dude, you are killing me right now.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. It is what it is.
No, I'm just saying, you're legitimately killing me because I know that you haven't seen New Jack City or anything. Like you haven't seen anything.
Have you seen Risky Business?
Yes, I've seen Risky Business. Tell me you at least saw Top Gun, please.
I heard there was a new one.
You've
called
never
Top
watched
Gun.
Top Gun?
No, like I heard Top
Really?
Gun Maverick did well. Yeah, I never seen this thing. 1986.
You need to watch Top Gun, and you need to put it up on a sound system and just enjoy it. It is incredible.
Dude,
So that
I'm not
means-
trolling.
hold on,
I have
hold
not
on,
seen these
hold on.
movies.
That means that you never saw Days of Thunder, have you?
No, but I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Oh my God! What was your childhood like? What? I don't understand.
I'm curious what I spent in my childhood as well, because apparently you watched all these movies, and
What about Blow? You at least see Blow?
I know a lot about Blow. That's for sure. But
Alpha Dog?
no, Alpha Dog. I don't know what that is.
I mean,
Alpha Dog. No, I haven't seen these.
I just don't understand. You see Rocky at least? Any of the Rockies?
Okay, that I actually am embarrassed of not watching because I think I should have watched those movies. But
You've
yeah.
really never seen any of the Rocky movies?
No, but I know that he runs up and down the freaking stairs
The
and
stairs in Philadelphia?
yeah, I've been on those stairs actually a couple times.
How about The Fighter? Did you see The Fighter?
Dude, are you just like an encyclopedia of movies at this point?
The
Like,
Fighter is one of the best sports movies there is. Your boy Christian Bale's in it. And it's arguably one of his best performances.
I haven't seen it. I don't know what you want me to do.
What do we?
Like, I don't know what you want me to say, dude. I don't.
All right, remember the Times.
I've
Please
seen
tell
a lot
me-
of documentaries.
Please tell me you've seen Remember the Times.
No, I haven't seen Remember the. I don't know what this shit is. Remember the title. 2000. No, oh Denzel. No, I haven't seen this. Oh, it's a football movie.
Friday Night Lights.
No, not seen Friday Night Lights either.
Blue Chips.
Blue Chips? No. I like Lay's chips. I haven't watched Blue Chips.
Ocean's 11. Ocean's
No,
12,
I haven't seen Ocean
13?
11 or
You've
Ocean
never seen Ocean's 11.
or 12 or 10 or 9 or 8.
Look
or
at the
7 or
cast
6.
of characters on Ocean's 11.
No, I know that one's stacked up with George Clooney and all those guys. I started it on a plane a couple of years ago and then I got bored. Matt Damon, Brad Pitt, all these guys, yeah.
I don't understand.
Look, it is what it is. This is I don't know what to tell you. I've seen Interstellar, Wolf of Wall Street, The Dark Knight, what's the other one he did? Wolf of Wall Street. Oh, Inception. And then High School Musical. Those are my 5. Those are the ones.
Did you see Catch Me If You Can?
What?
Did you see Catch Me If You Can?
Oh, I have seen that. That's a great movie. 100%.
Thank you.
That's
Hallelujah. That's like
phenomenal.
one for like 70 movies that I've actually said that you've seen. Thank you.
yeah,
Finally.
that one's great. I love that movie. You know,
You ever
I watched it after I saw the Netflix documentary on the guy who like was killing cats and stuff, and like there's a lot of similarities, so it made sense. You have to see it. It's called Don't F with Cats on Netflix. For anyone who hasn't seen it, it's a crazy.
What about St. Elmo's Fire?
St. Elmo's Fire?
Really?
Is that from? Wait, Elmo is the cartoon.
We're gonna pretend that you didn't say that.
No, Elmo is a cartoon from what's that movie called? Or what's the show called? Where Elmo's
We're gonna pretend you didn't say that.
Hold on, what's that movie called? Or what
Trying to help you out here.
Sesame Street. Talking about Sesame Street, bro? What the fuck?
Oh my god.
Oh, Rob Lowe's in it. All right, I'm gonna watch it because Rob Lowe's in it, and I have a crush on Rob Lowe. I like Rob Lowe. I see him every day on The West Wing. I like Rob Lowe.
I mean, this is just. I don't know. I don't know.
Dude, as soon as he said Elmo, I was like, wait a second, that's Sesame Street, bro. What are you talking about? That's St. Elmo's Fire?
I don't know what to do. You've seen Rounders, right? We had that conversation.
Yeah, I've seen Rounders. Rounders was good.
What about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? You at least see that?
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? Fear and Loathing in... What type of name is this? Fear?
Have you seen Tombstone?
No, I have not seen Tombstone.
Oh my god.
Johnny Depp, Tobey Maguire, Christina Ricci. It's on Prime. Did you like the one with what's his name? The one with the latest Quentin Tarantino one in Brad Pitt and
I'm not a big Quentin Tarantino fan.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Did you like that one?
It was okay. It was entertaining.
I thought it was so boring, bro.
I'll tell you, I think one of Tarantino's best movies is Jackie Brown. Have you seen Jackie Brown? You're typing. You have not seen Jackie Brown. Wow.
No.
What about Confidence? You at least see Confidence?
I would like to think I have Confidence, but I haven't seen it. Confidence 2003. Who's in this? Dustin Hoffman? No. Oh, Paul Giamatti's in there. He was in Billions. So
yes, he was. A show that you don't like.
Have you seen Rush Hour?
Of course, I've seen Rush Hour.
Have you seen Rush Hour 2?
I've seen Rush Hour 2.
Have you seen Rush Hour 3?
No.
Have you seen Rush Hour 4?
No.
That was a trick question because there's no Rush Hour 4. But yeah, Rush Hour actually like. Oh no, there is a Rush Hour 4.
You see Good Boys?
Actually, no, this is fake. This is not. Good Boys? No, I haven't seen Good Boys.
Okay. War Dogs? You at least see War Dogs?
No, I haven't seen War Dogs. Someone said movies are overrated. I would agree. I mean, to an extent, like.
You see any of the American Pie movies?
No, but all the movies you're mentioning you're mentioning from a decade ago, bro. You're not mentioning any recent movies. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, because they don't make movies the way they used to.
So then they're overrated, right? Like
they're not overrated.
They're not as special as they were.
You should watch American Pie tonight.
Have you seen Cocaine Cowboy?
I have.
I have not seen that.
I have.
Jacob's Ladder. Have you seen that?
No.
Debbie Does Dallas?
No.
Have you seen Avengers Endgame?
I've seen all the Avenger movies. The first one was still the best.
Yeah, I never was a fan of the Avengers thing either.
I mean, I still think X-Men is arguably the best superhero movie. Like the first X-Men movie that they did.
What about Happy Gilmore? You seen that?
It's incredible. I know you haven't seen it.
I saw one episode of Gilmore Girls.
Or Billy Madison or any of Sandler's movies.
Have you seen The Prestige?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen that either. Oh, what about When Harry Met Sally?
No.
Martin, what's his name? Or sorry, Matthew McConaughey is in that one.
Matthew McConaughey.
McConaughey, yeah, him.
You see Limitless?
No.
What?
Who's in Limitless?
Oh my God.
2011.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I haven't seen this shit. I feel like I've heard of it, but
Limitless is incredible. I retract everything. Go watch Limitless.
Well, every time I ask you this question, you berate me for an hour about not knowing movies.
Because you
So-
haven't seen anything. I just don't understand how you haven't seen any of this stuff. Because you always ask me what to watch, and whatever I tell you to watch, you don't watch.
Well, sometimes your recommendation, you overwhelm me with all these, but I just want one movie out of all these movies we talked about.
Go watch Limitless. You're gonna like it.
All right, that's the movie then. I'll put that on the list. We'll put this one up. Limitless. Pride and Prejudice. Have you watched that?
Yes.
I'm definitely using Google right now, not Grok, to find these. Yo, I just gave Google so many searches over the past 5 minutes, past 20 minutes.
And people think search is dying.
People
Go
think
figure.
search is dying.
Go figure.
All right, I think we're ending it out. Thank you, Steve. As always, Steve's article on Palantir, putting it right here in the chat. Please make sure to check it out. He'll be on Palantir Weekly with Matt and Arnie tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, we'll dive deeper into Palantir later tonight. What are you doing over the weekend, Steve?
Watching March Madness and probably writing a couple of articles.
Are you going anywhere? Like going out or anything? Or no?
Yeah, to my couch.
You want to tell everybody how lazy you were last night?
Yeah, I didn't want to get out of my chair to go get my tablet, which was 8 feet away from me.
This is why we need robots. This is why.
This is exactly why we need robots.
Like, you were so comfortable. He literally FaceTimed me to show how comfortable he was. He's like, I can't get up right now. I was like, this is why.
And while this sounds ridiculous, it's not a regular chair. It's one of those zero gravity chairs. So it's not as easy as just getting up out of an office chair. So you get so comfortable in those, you just don't want to get up if you don't have to.
It's a bull case for robots. It's another bull case.
It is definitely a bull case for robots.
All right, cool. We will see everybody back tonight at 11 p.m. for Palantir Weekly. I will be live on Options 201 tomorrow with Jason at 1 p.m. Eastern, and then we'll have the Sunday's Future show.
Can you get Brad Garlinghouse on, please?
I will try, Steve, to get Brad Garlinghouse.
That's all I ask. Just get Garlinghouse on, please.
All right, I'll try. I will try. And you got to be on with me if I get him.
I'll come on, but I mean, he's going to turn you into a crypto bro.
Okay. No, if you do the interview with me, that's my condition. Then I'll have him.
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely. And think about how much broader, if you become a crypto bro, can you imagine how much bigger your audience will be? The XRP army will tune into you all the time.
You're saying if I shill XRP, I'll get more views.
I'm not saying for you to show. You just get Garlinghouse on. The XRP army will follow.
Well, I don't know if you want that army to follow you, to be honest. I don't know.
I'm part of the XRP army, so.
Well, you're a very educated XRP army member. The rest of
I'm one of the original XRP army people.
That is not buying at these levels.
That is not buying at these levels because I don't have to buy at these levels.
You put $2,000 into XRP and now you're like, well, I'm set for life.
I do not have to buy at these levels because I have a 19-cent price point.
All right. Well, look, if I get Brad Garlinghouse, you got to be on with me. So
absolutely, but it'll be an interview that you will love.
All right. Let's see if let's see if we can make it happen.
I like it.
But you got to be on with me because I don't know what I'm asking.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, cool stuff. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all. Have a great weekend. We got through another week of trading in the month of March. If I don't see you throughout the rest of the weekend, we'll see you back Monday on the market open. All right. Bye, everyone.
Later.
Have a good one.